A very good afternoon. It's the 11th of November 2022. Welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, where the people come first, I'm Senator Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. Satyagraha opposite UN office in Colombo seeking release of Vasanta Mudalige and Venerable Galveva Sirida Matero. Education Minister admits students are not given proper meals. Fire at Karapite Hospital contained. Russia says it's withdrawing from the key city of Kherson, but Ukraine is skeptical. On to your top story this afternoon. A Sri Lankan court on Friday imposed a travel ban on State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage. The Colombo Chief Magistrate ordered to prevent the State Minister from travelling overseas until the 17th of December 2022. The case filed against the citizenship of State Minister was called up via a motion that was filed by attorney Gunaratna Vanninayaka and several other counsels. On Thursday, the Colombo Chief Magistrate Court ordered the OIC of the Criminal Investigations Department to immediately investigate whether State Minister Diana Gamage is remaining in Sri Lanka without a valid visa and submit a progress report to the court on the 15th of December. Attorney Gunaratna Vanninayaka told reporters outside the court that attempts were made earlier to undermine this investigation. In more local news, a Satyagraha campaign was launched opposite the UN office in Colombo, seeking the immediate release of Vasanta Mudalige and Venerable Galveva Sirida Matero detained under the PTA. The United Nations Resident Coordinator in Sri Lanka, Hannah Singha Hamdi, met with the group opposite the UN office in Colombo and discussed their concerns.
Yeah, it's good that you are able to demonstrate, so that's good. That's good. That's good. I know your issue. We are in contact, and hopefully things will be okay. But we are fully aware.
So we will be staying here. So this is going to move.
The activists thereafter handed over a letter containing their demands.
I get the letter. I will follow it up. I've already been following. Be safe.
Several civil organizations visited the Chinese embassy in Colombo to request China to support Sri Lanka's debt restructuring efforts. However, the Chinese embassy in Colombo had reportedly refused to accept the letter from the civil organizations. The Liberal Democratic Youth Collective, the Sarvapakshik Aragalakaru, and several other groups visited the Chinese embassy in Colombo to request China to support Sri Lanka's debt restructuring efforts. Sri Lanka police did not allow the activists to approach the embassy and hand over the letter. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle and the United States Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung were seen at the Lanka IOC terminals in Trincomalee together, accompanied by diplomatic staff on Thursday.
The Indian High Commission in Colombo said that the diplomats were welcomed by the staff at Lanka IOC, who briefed the two diplomats on its operations that contribute to the energy security of Sri Lanka. The Indian High Commissioner also flagged off the first delivery of Lanka Super Diesel from the Trinco terminal to the Sri Lankan market.
The first report of the Cabinet Subcommittee on Economic Stability has been presented to the Speaker. Chairman of the subcommittee, parliamentarian Partli Champiga Ranavaka, says the report includes modern resolutions to a host of serious issues, including debt restructuring.
ණය ප්‍රතිවගතකරණය පිළිබඳව දැනට තියෙන තත්ත්වය අපට මහ බැංකුව සහ මුදල්.
The Central Bank and Finance Ministry apprised us of the situation with regard to debt restructuring. We have discussed the issues and obstacles it entails. We have reached out to professionals on the cost of import medicines and have introduced methods to reduce that cost by 1/3 of the amount. Matters such as effective utilization of aid provided to the agricultural sector, steps to be taken to ensure farmers do not abandon their trade have also been discussed. Renewable energy sources have been mentioned as well, while steps to be taken to strengthen public transport have too been discussed. Measures to support impoverished communities in the best possible manner have been mentioned. We see it fit to conduct a survey on Sri Lankan society every 3 or 6 months to ascertain the number of impoverished people in the nation.
On to another headline-making story this afternoon. Education Minister Dr. Susil Premadayantha stated in Parliament today that many school children have been deprived of a proper meal due to the economic situation and poverty in the country. He made these remarks when opposition leader Sajith Premadasa informed the Parliament about the school children's meals.
A devastating situation has erupted in the country where the students are engaging in academic activities without access to proper meals. I request you to allocate funds to provide lunch for all school students from the budget, which to be presented on Monday. With the Ministry of Education, there is a division under an additional secretary where details are obtained from all levels. Accordingly, due to the current situation in the country, there are more students not getting the meals. On that, the President presented a proposal 4 weeks ago as well. We are providing lunch using 4 billion rupees annually for this purpose. We increased the price by 60 rupees. However, it is insufficient. We are expecting to increase it by 75 rupees. Based on various donations received, as of now, 1.1 million students are provided a meal. The plan is to increase this by 51%.
හැබැයි මේ ප්‍රමාණය 151 දක්වා වැඩි කිරීම සඳහා තමයි මේක දෙගුණයක් කරන්න දැන් කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්නේ වෙනම අරමුදලක් පිහිටවලා.
Samagi Jana Balawege parliamentarian Tissa Attanayaka claims an attempt is being made to postpone elections through the delimitation committee. Speaking to the media, the parliamentarian said provincial councils were established to decentralize power and to give more authority to the people. However, since they are now being run without public representatives, it is a serious violation of the Constitution. He went on to note that there are no legal provisions to further delay local government elections that have already been postponed. Tissa Attanayaka continued by saying that the government is attempting to deviate the attention of the people by appointing a delimitation committee. In more local news, Chief Sanganayaka of Nora Kalavia, Most Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thero, assumed duties as the Atamasthanathipati this morning.
Most Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thera was appointed the 11th Atamasthanathipati following the demise of Most Venerable Pallegama Siridivasa Thera. The Most Venerable Thera assumed duties in his new role opposite the sacred Jayasri Mahabodhi. Previously, the Atamasthana Committee unanimously approved the appointment of Most Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thera. The Most Venerable Thera planted a supplementary sapling for the protection of the Jayasri Mahabodhi to signify the appointment.
In more local news, the Kurunegala police arrested a suspect for attempting to sell a stock of Kerala cannabis.
The Kurunegala police arrested a suspect during an inspection at a house in Malkaduava. Officers discovered over 150 kilograms of Kerala cannabis valued at over 200,000 rupees. Sri Lanka Customs discovered nearly 2 kilograms of kush, a narcotic substance valued at over 1 million rupees at the Galle post office. A parcel containing the drugs was sent to Sri Lanka from California, and a woman who visited the post office to obtain the parcel was arrested.
A fire that had erupted inside a scan room at the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital was doused this morning. The director of the hospital, Dr. H.D.U. Ranga, told patients who were evacuated due to the fire were transferred safely back to the ward. A scan room situated at the first floor in the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital caught fire last night. The cause of the fire is suspected to be an electric spark from the AC unit. The fire was doused by the staff of the hospital and the fire brigade of the Galle Municipal Council. Measures were also taken to evacuate 100 patients receiving treatment at the hospital as well. The Police Special Task Force arrested a 27-year-old man for the possession of 188 stones that they believe to be gems. The raid was carried out based on a tip-off received by the Police Special Task Force camp in a group of students from the St. Anne's Girls' School in Wattala visited the Newsfirst newsroom today.
"75 students following communication and media studies at the St. Anne's Girls' College in Wattala visited the Newsfirst newsroom to get an understanding on news reporting. During their visit, Newsfirst staff members provided them with a practical experience on news broadcasting.
In your international news, US President Joe Biden will meet Chinese leader Xi Jinping face-to-face on Monday, their first in-person encounter since Biden took office, and one that will offer a clarifying opportunity for the world's most important bilateral relationship. Biden had met Xi in person previously when he was the US Vice President.
Taiwan is expected to top the agenda when US President Joe Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping meet on Monday. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement, the leaders will discuss efforts to maintain and deepen lines of communication between the United States and the People's Republic of China, responsibly manage their competition, and work together where our interests align, especially on transnational challenges that affect the international community. The much-awaited meeting comes at a time when relations between the two superpowers have particularly soured. This has been fueled by Beijing's claims over self-ruled Taiwan and its increasing assertiveness in Asia. The US has responded by restricting access to computer chip technology that has hit China's export-driven economy, which uses the technology to make and sell everything from phones to electric cars. Both enter Monday's meeting on the back of significant political events. Biden fared better than expected in the US midterm elections, and Xi was elevated to an unprecedented third term by the Chinese Communist Party. US officials laid out areas they expected to be on the table. That includes the issue of Taiwan, which Beijing claims. Biden has vowed in the past to use US military force to defend the island from a Chinese invasion. Biden will also raise human rights concerns, the officials said. The US accuses China of committing genocide against the Muslim minority population in the western Xinjiang province. Given the recent spike in tensions and rhetoric, the world and America's Asian allies, such as India, Japan and Australia, will be closely watching the meeting scheduled to take place on Monday in Bali ahead of the G20 summit.
Meanwhile, control of the US House and Senate are still up in the air as states across the country tallied votes neck and neck in midterm election races. As the ballot counting in the last few states continues, US media, CNN, NBC and Fox News have made projections.
As of now, there are 32 seats in the House of Representatives left in play, and the Republicans are currently 211 seats, while the Democrats have gathered 192 seats. Meanwhile, there are just 3 seats left in play for the U.S. Senate. The Republicans have secured 49 seats, while the Democrats have 48 seats. An NBC News exit poll reveals that 69% of Americans do not want Biden for a second term. As the world awaits election results that will determine who will control Congress, polls in Alaska, Arizona, Nevada and Oregon have just closed.
Russia's defense minister on Wednesday announced Russia would pull out its troops from the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, the first and only regional capital to be captured by Russian forces since they invaded Ukraine in late February.
The decision, Russian officials said, was taken to save the life counteroffensive and difficulties to keep supply lines to the strategic city open. Russian forces gained control of the area in early March, with Kherson city being the only place where they had established a presence on the river's west bank. Ukraine responded with skepticism to Russia's announcement, with officials saying it could be a plan to lure Ukrainian forces into a deadly trap.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I've been Senator Seda Nayaka. Take care and stay safe.